I used to have patellar tendonitis, meniscus issues, and pain in my knees daily. For years, I thought that I needed to stretch or foam roll my pain away. But eventually, it was simple. I just needed to strengthen my knees and what they're designed to do. Bend. But often this causes pain for people. This is why you need to know the right exercises and the correct order to use them in. I'm convinced that this is the best path to take.
Now, the slant board has been used in physical therapy for many years. That's because motions on a slant board start to strengthen the muscles and connective tissue responsible for protecting the knee. But you can make your own slant board out of anything that's going to be able to elevate your heels.
The place to start, especially if you have achy knees, is the top portion of the squat. Bend your knees slightly, feel the weight shift forward, and then extend the knees back up. Try to get in tune with those quad muscles that you'll feel right above the knees. When this starts to feel easy, moving to one leg is your next step. This is the Poloquin Step Up, used to isolate the VMO muscle, which is essential for strong knees. Now, you can always use assistance from your hands here. The lower your foot is to the ground, the easier this will be. The higher your foot is, the harder it becomes. So in combination with this, we want to work on full knee bending in a low intensity fashion. Come down to the ground and start in a high kneeling position. From here, lower your hips as low as feels comfortable for you, and then extend back up. You can even take some weight in your hands if needed. Your goal here is to work towards getting your knees comfortable with the full bend. I prefer to do reps here because often by the 10th rep, you'll be sitting much lower with ease than you were on the first. And on your last rep, spend some time paused in that deep position. It's actually surprising how much ankle and foot health influence your knees. Digging the toes into the ground in this same position can give a necessary stretch to the toes and feet.
So we know that we want the knees to get stronger at fully bending. But I've found another position to be really valuable along your knee journey. Now notice when I'm in a deep squat like this, my hip is flexed. I think it's sensible to want to strengthen your knees with the hip open. Now, a regressed way that we can start working on this is from a lunged position. When my hip is open, my quads and hip flexors are lengthened. So now if we put force here, we're strengthening the quads in a different position, which is gonna be valuable for the knees. And if you've ever seen someone do the sissy squat, which is really essential for bulletproofing your knees, you're in that open hip angle.
Set up in a lunge position with your bottom knee right under your hip. Lift the knee for about 5 seconds and then set it back down. Now, this is way more intense than it seems. And what's nice is it's going to double as mobility work. Because you're using strength with this open hip position, you'll feel those muscles working while being stretched. So your hip might become a little bit more flexible while also getting this 90-degree stimulus for the knee. As you progress, you can start to lean back a bit, which will open the hip further and put even more force into the knee. And ultimately, getting to that full slant board squat is where we're gonna make a lot of our progress. But if you spent some time doing the top portion squats and the full kneeling squats, you should be able to get to this step pain-free. But if you have a history of cranky knees that don't want to bend, then use some assistance from your hands in the beginning. Understand that our body is much stronger when lowering to gravity. That means you may be able to confidently lower down and then use some hand assistance on the way back up. So now we have one exercise that's gonna create blood flow into those muscles and connective tissue that strengthen the knees. You can regress it down to your level by using as much hand assistance as needed, while also scaling up by simply adding some weight to the exercise to develop stronger quads, which in turn is going to promote better knee health. In the beginning, work on that slow eccentric, really forcing yourself to be strong in those low positions. For anyone wanting to strengthen their knees, I think it's a great goal to work up to 10 controlled pain-free reps with just your body weight. After this, you can explore adding some weight into your hands or wearing a weight vest. Another practice that has helped my knees and ankles a ton is rope flow. Rope flow gently exposes your joints to a vast variety of movement. It's centered around rotation, which is at the heart of human functionality. Much of what we're doing here with strength and rehab is linear, but the rope gets you moving in all planes of motion with very low impact. I learned from Way of the Rope's 8 weeks to fluidity course taught by Tim Schief. I went from a complete beginner, smacking myself in the head with the rope a few times, to now flowing like this with ease. Now rope flow is a staple in my practice because of the versatility. Often I'll use it as a warm-up or a way to stay loose between sets of strength work, or I bring it to the park with me for some light movement in sunshine. I absolutely loved the pacing of 8 weeks to fluidity. Tim starts with the basics to first just get you comfortable with the rope. Then he gradually starts teaching more complex patterns and flows. Because this has been a big part of my journey the last few years, I connected with Tim to get a discount code for a StrengthSide audience. Use code StrengthSide for 15% off all courses and ropes. Link in description. Big time recommend.
Less talked about in relation to knee health is the strength of the foot and ankle. The reason why the slant board works so well is it shifts your weight into the ball of your feet, making it easier to activate those VMO muscles. But optimally, we want to be able to do this without the board. Years ago, I started taking some capoeira classes. And I noticed that everyone was super comfy in this half kneeling position. Me, coming from a lifting background, I was not. I thought that this would be harsh on my knees, but almost immediately, my knees started to feel better.
It turns out this half kneeling position stretches your big toe into extension while also supporting your body weight. This can improve your ankle flexion while also giving you this great full knee bend stimulus. Try sitting in this position for 10 seconds and then swapping sides. If you can, alternate sides while staying low to the ground. Because this warms up and stretches your feet and ankles so much, you may find that sitting in a flat-footed squat is more comfortable than usual. So spend a little time with the ankles fully bent. At this point, we're fully prepped for the toe squat. This is just like squatting on a slant board, but now you create the shift forward. Drive onto your toes, pushing the knees forward and lowering your hips down. Go as low as feels comfortable for you. The ideal is to get the hamstrings to touch the calves. Start with low reps and a slow lowering portion. If you can do 5 reps, taking at least 5 seconds to lower down, your knees are going to be feeling great. And once again, working up to 10 reps can be a good goal to shoot for. The flat-footed squat is still phenomenal for your knees, but notice how much more you can keep your torso upright when you shift weight onto your toes, which then makes your knees go forward. The leaned back squat is now going to shift even more force into your knees because of the torso angle. But learning this is for another video. Comment below if you'd like to see it.
So really, we want the full capacity of our quads. We want to be strong through a flex position, but we also want to have strength in lengthening. Couch stretch has been a staple for my training for about the last 10 years, and working towards a fully bent knee with an upright torso ensures that you have that full hip extension capacity. Because if we only say run, do a bunch of squats, and we get really stiff here through the quad, then it seems logical to think that may have some negative effects on our knees. So I find couch stretch to be most effective for the people that can barely even get in the position in the beginning.
So finding a way to access this stretch in the beginning is super important. We just made a video with some couch stretch regressions and a couple other stretches, and we'll link to that in the description.
So I'm really excited about these shorts. They're really nice to move in, but they're still slightly fitted, so they look good too. Strength side, this side, made for movement here. We're gonna give away 3 pairs. To enter, drop a comment with your location and which knee exercise has helped your knees the most. And if you check the pinned comment below, I'm gonna give you some sample programs, both for the beginner and intermediate knee levels.